Hi Maddie, so this is just a quick tutorial video on how to access the website and how to make some simple changes. Firstly looking really at text changes and just changing the order in the photo gallery and so just a few simple bits to give you access to start with. So first of all, I've sent you an email and on the email is a link with a username and password. So if you click on the link, pop in the username and password, make sure you put the username in all capitals, that's just how it wants it, and then click sign me in. Once you've done that, you'll see this screen here. You can ignore everything on here. Anything over the right is, I don't know why that comes up, just ignore it. And the only thing you're looking for here is websites on the left if you click that. Basically then you'll see the site name, so click on the box. You'll then see another site name. Eventually here a preview of your website will appear, but because I only just set this up today, it's just blank, but don't worry about that. Scroll down and you'll see edit website below, so click that. That will then basically load the editor. So the site is built in Bramble, which is really straightforward and easy to use. Most of my customers really like that. It puts them in control of being able to make a lot of changes to their site by themselves, and it's really straightforward to do that. So Bramble will load the home page to start with. So there's a couple of things to mention before I delve too much further. There's a trash can button next to where it says index. I'm not going to go anywhere near that. So never click that because there's no undo button if you do. So if you click the trash can button on a page, it wipes the page. That page is then gone. And then it's a case of me trying to find old backups and putting all back the SEO and rebuilding menus and all sorts. So the first tip is don't go anywhere near the trash can logo at the top of the screen. The other thing to not do is please don't rename all the pages on the website. I've had a couple of customers do that. They've just gone through and renamed all the pages. Obviously that breaks the sitemap, it breaks the menu, it causes lots of problems because it wipes all the SEO. So pages are named as they are, and they shouldn't really need to be renamed. So that's the two big no-nos really, is don't click the trash can button because there's no undo, and don't start renaming pages because everything will start to break, SEO will be wiped, and it causes lots of problems. So they're the only two things to really worry about. One thing I'll cover a bit later on is you can make changes to the site, and then if you're not sure what you've done or you don't want to save it, as long as you don't click publish at the top, you can exit the browser and leave and you've done no damage at all. So people quite like that because it means they can have a play around, they can try a few things. If they get in a muddle, just don't publish and leave, and you know the site's then protected. If you do that, when you go back in to the editor, it will say, did you want to load the last autosave? And obviously you don't want to, because if you make a lot of mess and it auto saves, you're going to load that auto save with all the mess on. So if you ever get a message saying, do you want to discard the changes that have auto saved, always click yes, discard the changes. So that way you know the site's always as it should be, without any mistakes. So yeah, just a couple of things there. So going back to the site and the editor, you'll see lots of strange symbols and boxes and things that may not make sense. Just ignore them. They're different elements that are turned off for tablets and for phones and for portrait and landscape mode and various things. So just ignore anything that looks a bit weird in the editor. So things like the slider will be stacked one on top of each other. Again, you can ignore that. It's just how the editor displays it. Obviously on the site, it scrolls between those. And same as there's an image for the mobile version, which is there. So again, anything you're not sure about or doesn't look right, leave it because it's all set up completely fine. Just scroll past those. And every box that you come to, every area that you click, you can see highlights in green, which means you can then go in and edit those sections. So again, you've got the ability to go in much like a Word document, just make simple changes to the text. Another piece of advice is don't play around with the font sizes too much because again, they're optimized for tablets and for phones, for portrait and landscape modes. So if you start making the fonts bigger or you start changing lots of things, what you'll find is on the tablet and on the phone, it no longer looks good or it no longer fits. So yeah, just be wary of that. You'll also see some elements are repeated. So for example, the boxes here where you've got truly bespoke design will reappear further down. And again, the top one is the computer version of it and the bottom one is the mobile phone version. So if you make an alteration to the box at the top where it says truly bespoke design, you then go and paste the same below because then you're updating the tablet and the phone one, and you're scrolling down below and you're updating the phone version as well. So yeah, wherever this box is repeated, just make sure you make the changes in the top boxes and in the bottom boxes as well. I think that's probably only really effective of the home page, to be honest. Yeah, every element you scroll, you just get the ability to then edit. So pretty straightforward. I've put these grey H1 headings at the bottoms of the pages. Again, I try not to amend that text because that's obviously been submitted to Google as part of your SEO and search engine side of things, with different keywords to flag to Google to help you with hits. So again, I tend to not change those particularly. So yeah, everything's pretty straightforward. It looks a bit confusing, but you soon get used to why things are like this. For example, in the footer, we have the mobile version of the footer here, and we have the website version of the footer here. So again, if you were to change your address or your phone number on the mobile version, you'd scroll down and change it on the computer version as well. So yeah, some things are pretty straightforward. Some things look a bit confusing, but if you're not sure about anything, obviously I can explain to you why things are set as they are, but it's pretty straightforward. So you'd make some changes that you were happy with, or for example, if we made a lot of mistakes, if we just delete something we didn't want to, let's delete the whole slider. We didn't mean to do that. We don't click publish at the top. We can just exit the browser and leave. And you know then when you go back in, the site is safe because we didn't publish those changes. So that's what I was talking about earlier. If you get into a muddle, you can just literally exit the browser, and then when you don't publish, everything's as it should be. So quickly go through some other pages. You may want to, for example, at the top here where it says index, you click, you get a list of all the pages. They're labeled pretty clearly just to make things easier. And as I mentioned before, don't rename any of these pages because it will just cause quite a lot of chaos. So for example, if you wanted to go to the gallery page, you'll see the gallery is set up in such a way where all the landscape images are at the top, and then further down it switches to some portrait ones and some different size ones. That's just how the gallery handles some of these images. So you'd be able to go in, for example, and change captions, or dragging, change order, move them around. You can just play around and change the order of them. You can also hover over and click remove on anything you no longer want in the gallery. So there's lots of things that are, if you hover over, it's going to tell you what those things are about to do. So some things are really quite straightforward to edit and change. And yeah, you just scroll through and you can obviously wipe out anything you don't want anymore. Just be aware that obviously if you're going to change too much, you don't want it to sort of, if you deleted one here, you're going to end up with a line of just 2 rather than a nice neat row of 3. So just anything you edit, just have a quick check of how it's behaved after you've made those changes, just so you don't get any strange gaps. But yeah, again, we can leave that and then not save and not publish, and then we've done no damage. So other pages you might want to have a look at, for example, is things like testimonials. So you could go to your testimonials page, and if you decided you wanted to add a testimonial, you could come up to the top where the latest one is, and then over on the left hand side you have duplicate. So you could duplicate that, and that will basically keep the format. You could then paste in your new testimonial, pop in the person's name for the new testimonial, and then obviously then you would, at the top, you would publish those changes. When you publish the changes, when you go back to the website, you have to refresh the page a couple of times, and it takes about a minute for the changes you've published to actually show on the live site. So don't panic if you make changes, you jump on the website and you don't see them. Click the refresh button, wait about a minute, and you'll find they will update. Fairly straightforward. And again, if there's things you want to remove, you can, over on the left hand side, remove an entire piece of feedback if you no longer want it. And also you can change the order, so you can use the move feature to move things around if you wanted to change the order of the feedback for any reason. So yeah, again, I'll exit that and I'll leave. But yeah, most things are really straightforward. You'll find your way around fairly easily. Quickly go to a page with some text on. So for example, the about page. Again, I'd probably leave photos for me unless you're familiar with Photoshop, because you need to do a bit of sizing so that you don't end up with a thing the wrong size. But if you're comfortable with Photoshop, you can change images by just clicking change image and drag your new one straight on top. Bramble then will try and optimize and compress it for you. It's better to do it in Photoshop because then you can get it kind of the right dimensions first. But if you're not familiar with Photoshop, you can always email me photos and I can replace them, because you have half an hour a month of free support for that kind of thing from me. So photos, I say, if you're comfortable and you know what you're doing, great, you can change them. If you're not sure and you need some help, it's best to leave me to do the photos for you as part of that free support. But again, you click each box, you click each area, you're then able to make changes to the text, add bits. If you wanted to add another thing, again, you have the duplicate feature, and you would change the order, drag it down. You could then duplicate a paragraph of text, drag it down, and then you could obviously then pop in whatever the new details are. that you want to add to that. So really straightforward, pretty intuitive. Couldn't be too much easier really in terms of making simple changes. So this video basically is going to get you access to the site, so you can then start making changes. You have full admin access. Yeah, you might need to watch this video a couple of times for everything to make complete sense. Anything you're unsure of, please let me do. I've had a lot of customers that go a little bit experimental and do all sorts of things and actually break quite a lot and cause quite a few problems. So I always say to people, if you've been shown how to do something, that's great, you can do it. Don't get too experimental, and obviously if you need some help, the support and the help is there. I do also jump on Zoom chats with people when we live share screens, so if you're not sure what you're doing, that's an option. But basically this will give you access to the site. You can now make simple text changes, you can move images around, you can add testimonials, you can alter whatever text that you want to alter. So hopefully that's what you want to do for now. If you want to talk about images further, or portfolio sections, or managing things that are a bit more difficult, I can cover that in another video. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll just show you again. I'm going to leave the page without publishing, so everything's all good. If you do need any further help, give me a shout. Thanks.